keeps up. We'll see.
Yeah, that was my fun little issue. I didn't get an alert from you on my phone until like I already called you on Google Hangout on my computer, and then I looked at the phone. I was like, "Huh, he sent that like 4 minutes ago. Why the hell didn't I get an alert about it?"
Yeah. But how you doing, man?
Oh, just keeping up with stuff. Relatively exhausted. Doing what I can to stay entertained, stay moving forward. But also just like, I don't know, it's hard to keep up with everything in today's day and age with this coronavirus shit. Mostly because every time, especially in America right now, because like every time that there's like a policy established, it only lasts for like 2 days, and then somebody's like, all right, well, that's wrong, so let's do something completely different. And it's like everybody literally just adjusted to this, and it's still not even like people aren't even adjusted to it yet, and then they changed it again.
That's so fucked, bro.
Yeah, it's I mean, everybody's complaining about things being closed, but at the same time, like if we had a government that was adequately prepared to take care of its people, then we wouldn't have this issue, really, or at least to the degree that we have it. And I understand, like, being open, needing to generate money and stuff like that, as I'm looking at my place of work, my part-time job. But my part-time job is also, like, the least justifiable place to have open because it 100% encourages and involves gathering of large groups of people. Like 10% capacity of my work is 450 people. So, and the legal limit for a gathering is 250 people. So somehow along the lines, like my day job got approval from the government to be open with twice the legal capacity that we're allowed to in the middle of a fucking pandemic. So basically, like, I'm worried because I've lost friends to this. Like, I have 3 friends that have died to this thing so far, and yeah,
that's real. That's real.
Yeah, and luckily they're not like, they weren't like super close to me. But it's weird because like at least one of them I would have attended a viewing or funeral, and you're not allowed to. This was yeah, like you can't have a gathering of larger than 10 people outside of like certain things legally, and like I don't know if cops are enforcing it in like or anything like that. So I mean, there are a few things that I don't like that are happening that are complicating certain things like emotional well-being and whatnot. But at the same time, it's a pandemic. To stop the spread in an ignorant country like America, where a bunch of people aren't wearing masks and aren't taking care of each other and aren't doing anything like that, like drastic measures are pretty much the only way to guarantee any type of positive outcome. So it's just frustrating to watch as an educated individual who knows a lot of shit about lung health. And if like my big deal basically is like coronavirus messes and destroys your lungs. So like, why would you fuck with that? That's like saying that you're cool with like a 60% chance of having heart failure. Like it's not. You got like 2 organs in your body, 3 if you count your brain, but 2 organs in your body that are absolutely required for life, and the lungs are one of them. So I mean, I don't understand why people don't take it more seriously. It's just frustrating. But outside of that, honestly, shit's been going pretty well. Aside from the weather being ridiculous over the past week and a half, it's been pretty cool. Just been honestly trying to catch up on sleep. It's been the first time in like months that I've had the ability to be like, I think I'm going to try to get 2 extra hours today, or like take care of myself a little extra instead of just being like 3 hours of sleep is awesome. Yeah. How you been though, man?
Good. I was sick. Well, you know that. For a while, it was actually pretty bad. Especially during my birthday, it was kind of shitty. I was all sick on my birthday. But I got tested for COVID and I'm clean, so I guess that's good. They prescribed me a shitload of antibiotics and some other stuff, and that seemed to do the trick. So I'm feeling better now. Nice. moved houses again because the last place we were at, she decided she wanted to raise the price on us, even though all of the tourists are leaving because the government of Indonesia made a law where the people on a tourist visa have to leave. And we don't have a tourist visa, so we're pretty lucky. But, so you've got like 30,000 people leaving the island, and all of a sudden, and all these places are empty, and our landlord decides that she wants to raise the rent. And I'm just like, no, laters. I'm just going to go to one of those other empty villas around.
Owned by somebody who's not going to price gouge me.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I don't mind if she would have been upfront about it, like, yo, whatever. But she wasn't even going to tell us. And so, like, 10 days before rent was up, we were like, so can we stay another month or not? And she just didn't respond. We're like, hey, we need you to respond. We have like 10 days until the end of the month. And if we're going to leave, we need to, like, know now. You know what I mean? And she's like, yeah, you can stay, but it's like an extra $200. And we're just like, no, fuck you.
I didn't know that she had like off-season prices. That like that's definitely one of those things that should be showing up in your fine print of any type of like property rental or whatever. But either way, I saw pictures of your new place. Looks super dank.
Oh yeah, it's fucking awesome, dude. I love it. And we've got it upstairs and a downstairs, and so Lua can work downstairs and record, and I can play guitar upstairs, and we can't hear each other, which is pretty sweet.
Nice. That is nice. Yeah, I just helped. I helped my buddy. I didn't help him move, thank God. And so much as I love helping people move, at the same time, pizza and beer is not an adequate pay for the amount of moving that they make 6 feet tall people do whenever people move buildings. Because then it's just like, you get the couch, you get the bed, you get the TV stand with the TV still glued onto it. Yep, move all the things. But I helped him out because he owns a recording studio, and he was like, I can't make my computer quiet enough no matter where I put it. And I found some like really good fans in the past like 2 years, and he's like, holy shit. Now my computer doesn't make sound, which is constant.
That's awesome, dude.
So pretty low wearing. Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff about like computer junk that I've been trying to look into for like new analysis and stuff, but either way. I wanted to compliment you, by the way. Your voice sounds great right now. It's very like stable and not scratchy, gravelly, worn out. It like the beats in your voice that I was used to for so long are starting to like ease their way out, which means that your natural default vocal fold closure seems to be much more like firm or stable. So whatever you're doing is building strength in there.
Yeah, so
and that's just like listening from a standard conversation.
Yeah, the type of progress I've had. Okay, so last lesson we were supposed to work on my speech and raising the pitch, and that has gone nowhere. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, that's gone absolutely nowhere. But we also worked on like articulation of notes. Now that has actually gone really well, and I do feel a lot more control over the notes, and I feel like if I do this for like another month or so, that I'm gonna see some pretty massive results, and just my accuracy and like it's really helping me out with like stability too. It's kind of weird, but like being able to go from like high to low is like pretty awesome, because like my low notes sometimes they're a little shaky, you know, but it's working out pretty well.
So the articulation of notes thing, just so you can kind of see the science behind that a little bit, is whenever you articulate or you're crisp or something like that, it allows for a lot of like, it creates a micro environment inside your vocal box for like a very short period of time when you articulate. Particularly, let's say if we're focusing on consonants. So if you're skipping through words and you're using those consonants very quickly, the vowel, whenever you get to the vowel, is like, I'm trying to think of like an airflow chart. Your airflow starts to increase with the vowel. It condenses with consonants, which means that you build up pressure when you get to the consonants. So you're like, you can build up this little bit of preparatory pressure the crisper that your presentation is from phrase to phrase. So think like it sounds weird to say, but the crisper and the like more articulate you can present your words, the easier it will be to make quick transitions, because you allow for more subglottal pressure to build up in a very short window of time that you can exploit if you have quick articulatory movement within your instrument and that preparation in place. So yeah, like the things that you're realizing and noticing within your singing, just being like way more accurate, way more efficient, smack on the point, that's 100% because of that like little bit of concentration of air. I'm glad that you brought it up that way. That may have been the first. I might have to actually like ask to cut that small section out of this video, because that was the first time I think I've ever explained it in that way. And honestly, that's like what you just talked about has been the theme for this week with literally like 80% of my other students. We're all talking about articulation, and we're talking about nasal placement because that helps build that articulation pressure. So for a lot of my younger students are experimenting with the exact same stuff right now. Sweet, dude. I'm really glad to hear that, especially because like that's not easy work. Everybody, you know, whenever you're talking about, especially when you're talking to new singers, when you're talking about articulation and stuff like that, they don't think about everything that you're thinking about. The only thing that they think about is like reducing this, reducing legato, and reducing hot air. But it's so much more than that. It's crisp pronunciation of words. It's accurate progress, emphasis in syllables. It's accurate progress through the musical phrase, making sure that you're not losing these like little landmarks that you're putting in for yourself. So, up to the yes. Also, I want to ask, what song were you singing whenever I logged in? That was certainly another language.
Yeah, that's Fuero Más Allá by Eruca Sativa. I'll send it to you.
That's pretty cool. I thought it was very
She's
dynamic.
Amazing. She's holy shit. You got this song is so intelligent, bro. Like, just listen to the bass guitar. It's like fucking retarded. Like, yeah.
That may have been the best way to explain a song I've ever heard. That set off everything. All right. Listen to the basso. Dude. I like the power trio aspect of it. That's cool as fuck.
The cool thing about this song, dude, is it switches like almost, it goes from like funk to hard rock to metal back to funk. It's really weird.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god. This song sounds like it should be in like every PlayStation 2 racing game from like 2009 to like 2015. Playing ATV racing, playing SSX Tricky, playing like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Nah, put the shit right in there. What the? Damn, this chick can play the guitar.
Yeah.
Whoa, the harmonies are really good. I really like the video too, just because it's in a really interesting room. Oh snap! That's a chick bass player too?
Yeah.
Dude, she is smacking it. I could not. That she honestly looked like she was gonna kill somebody so much the whole time. I thought she was a dude. And she sings too. All right, yeah. She like fucking raps. Damn, Spanish rap. This might be the first time I ever heard anything like beat work in Spanish. Man, she comes right back in. Holy crap, this song is intense. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't kidding about that bass line either, especially in the beginning. Very, very articulate. Not like, what was that? Like whole thing staccato at a certain point. Yeah, there's the legato build. Yeah, dude. Oh man, that transition at like 24 seconds is mad. I wouldn't expect that at all. If that was in like If I was live at that studio, I'd have stopped. I'd have been like, work, 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 work. That transition change at 24 seconds, I'd have stopped, and I'd just been like, okay, I'm gonna look at you now for the next 4 minutes, and then watch everything you do intently. Yeah, that was really cool. I like that, man. You're not kidding about that song changing. I think I listened to, what did I make it? 2 minutes and 10 seconds in, and the song changed like 5 times. Not to mention the bass player came in and started singing, which I wasn't expecting out of a power trio. So that's like, man, they got levels. This is an old song.
Yeah, dude, that chick, the lead singer, man, she's intense. She likes to go on stage and just do loop pedals where she only sings and she doesn't play anything, and she'll just loop sing on top of herself and just create whole songs that way. It's fucking sweet.
And now, is that something that she'll do when she's like out touring with her band?
Well, I think she tours with her band and then by herself. Okay. She's one of those type of artists.
That's pretty cool. That honestly, that vocal looping stuff, that's kind of something I've always wanted to get into deep down inside, because like the complicating part about a cappella is the same complicating part with bands, and that is you have a bunch of different people that might not give a shit about the same venture at the exact same time. So if I could like eliminate the human issue of having to find other people, then yeah, that would be super great to be able to a cappella, but at the same time, you can't sing complex 4-part harmonies with a voice modulator. You can sing one part split into 4 different keys, and somehow, hopefully, that makes musical sense mixed with everything else, which not all the time. Sweet. Let's get cracking into some shit then, since it's been a while. Let's, I don't know, do you have any, like, fresh-ish new type stuff? We can always bring back, like, into this song.
Not really, dude, honestly. I've been, like, really just working, like, on, runs and arpeggios and scales, to be honest. That's all I've been doing.
That stuff, too, I'm glad that, honestly, I'm so glad that, like, you take that in, because, I mean, praise God, it feels like I'm working with professionals for the first time in 6 months in the past, like, 3 days, so I'm so incredibly grateful for all of that. Everybody that I've worked to up until this point in Corona is just, like, phoning it in, hardcore. Nobody's taking it seriously. Everybody that's under the age of, like, 24 is just like, oh yeah, we'll sing some songs today. I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll sing some songs. I gave you homework last week. You didn't do any of it. Like, fuck, let's just sing Happy Birthday 10 times.
That's me, though, dude. I don't do homework either. But, like, I fucking work. I just don't do
research
homework.
on your own. That's fucking fine enough. Like, I can care less if you do exactly what I ask, because, like, I know for a fact you're going to at least look into it. If you find that what I suggest isn't the method for you, you still find ways to meet the objective. And that's what you're supposed to do in like the time off. Like, I help to find either the light at the end of the tunnel for a new objective, or I help to explain what is loose about a current objective. Outside of that, the way that you make the light bulb turn on in your own head is, I'm not going to call it my sole responsibility. I'd say it's probably about like 70% my responsibility to help to like get you in the same room as that light bulb is turning on. But honestly, I can only do so much as somebody who's not you. So like, and that's that, just trying to get that little aspect into the heads of anybody younger than like 20 is like the world's most impossible task. It's like, yes, you have to give a shit about what you're doing. Admittedly, I was that kid growing up, but like, fuck, I didn't know how bad I could have been. Jeez.
Yeah, for sure. So I do have some songs. You want me to just pick one and go?
Sure. And it doesn't have to be any particular anything, i.e. in English. I don't need to understand anything. The only thing I'm going to suggest is if you do sing something in another language, please send it to me so I can find it on the YouTube and I can estimate roughly how far into the song that we are. So
don't worry, I'll sing in English. It's not like a super big deal.
Okay, so
this is a song I wrote with my buddy Tincho in 2012 in Germany. Long time back.
Does it have a name? Yeah, that's like
it's called If I Knew You. Let me adjust the volumes. So I think it's not too loud.
tell you right now that I think I might start doing lessons exclusively on Hangouts. This is the best audio quality I've had so far.
Well, yeah, but it's my interface, bro.
What you get?
It's just like, it's kind of like you, just like a UMC 404 HD. But I'll send it to you later. Anyways, let me turn this up.
Yeah, it just like doesn't sound internety like everybody else.
Some days ago, flying with you, I saw the stars passing through. What could this mean? What could I do? All of these things we came to, keeping away my deepest thoughts, just to stay pure and not fall off. How do I know if this is true? Would this be real if I knew you? Whoa, 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 whoa. Would this be real if I knew you? Whoa, 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 whoa. Would this be real if I knew you? So you can already see there's some like support issues. I think it's just because it's bored and I have bad habits. And I just haven't worked them out yet.
That was that's literally the first note I wrote. Whenever you told me what year you put it down, I was like, boop, 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 old habits, right next to it. And it's that is literally like 80% of the problems. So the cool things that I want to call out is you can definitely tell that there's a lot of like good things that have come from recent history into it, i.e. the crispness. Very, very crisp. Your phrases were like, you know, rigid and structured and planned. And I'm not saying they weren't emotionless. I'm saying that they just simply followed the structure that is simply put in place for them. The only thing that came up as far as a crisp issue was the phrase oh my gosh. It's either we came to or we come to. I screwed up and
we came to, yeah.
Okay. That's literally the only one that was an issue. I want to say it's because it was towards the end of a phrase, and the abdominal support, because the musical phrase just started dropping off because of lung capacity. I just put a star next to it because I want to revisit it and just tune my ear a little bit closer to that phrase. I put a note next to it that said potentially crisp up with a question mark next to it. The reason why I say potentially is because some things just might be loose in there. It wasn't something blatantly obvious that I heard through your sing through. Because we come to was, you know, in their own little sections. They weren't legato. They weren't smushed together. Everything's relatively articulated, but I almost want to say that it was just missing a bit of intensity behind the crispness. And I think that that's really the indicator for that loss of support at the end of that phrase. So maybe it was a breathing issue more than anything else, or an air capacity issue more than anything else. Wanted to compliment you for two things. Breathing. Your body is doing an awful lot less physical work, like visibly. Whenever I was watching you and you were taking your short, you know, bigger breaths, you weren't doing the whole thing like you used to. Now you're like, whoo, I can hear it. It's totally fine. You're getting the air in. It is half as loud as it's ever been before whenever you breathe that fast. But more importantly, you're not showing it or displaying the fast breathing effort anywhere in your body. And honestly, man, like just seeing that and seeing that level of relaxation and coordination and control, fuck yeah. Like that's awesome. I don't even care about nothing else. So basically the biggest thing that I picked up on was that we come to line. And the suggestion for that is as it's descending in your phrase, because it descends on the scale. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. Move the placement forward. We come to, towards our two front teeth, as the phrase descends in pitch. So the reason why we do that is because, I think I talked about this ages ago, our body's natural reaction to pitch changes. When we go down in pitch, we want to swallow the note. It gets all the way back here and guard it off and all that fun, stupid shit. But what we could do is Let it all be right behind your two front teeth instead of swallowing that note. What that's going to really allow for is not only for your microphone to pick up slightly more juicy and articulating frequencies, like that E is way more easy to be picked up on a microphone than, and that second tone will also just muddy up all the sound around it. So that bright brassy tone not only be clear and something that people can pick up on, but it'll allow you to be more intelligible in that part of your range. So we come to will naturally just be crisper with that forward placement. There's also a small little gold star bonus point to moving things forward, and that's airflow. So we come to, it's hard to replace the hot air from that. That's basically always going to be light and fluffy. We come to is the opposite. It's almost fucking impossible to add so much hot air into that to make it hot and fluffy with that type of placement. So I'm just giving that analysis to you. Feel free to pick your own location of the spectrum that you want to, give that a shot with. But I say that let's just take it from the top and see what happens.
Yeah, we're just gonna do it again because that's shitty. So.
That's not that shitty, but okay.
Some days ago, flying with you, I saw the stars passing through. What could this mean? What could I do? All of these things we came to, keeping away my deepest thoughts, just to stay pure and not fall off. How do I know this is true? Would this be real if I knew you? Whoa, 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 whoa. Would this be real if I knew you? Whoa, 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 whoa. Would this be real if I knew you?
Nice.
Yeah, that was way, way better. Holy shit.
That fucking eliminated just about every issue that I even was like starting to write about.
Yeah, it's just focus, dude. It's just like really what it was support.
Yeah. You know? 2 compliments just because I like dishing them out. The first time you sang through it, I was blown away by your opening phrase. It was stable. It was there. You attacked it right out of the gate. It guided the following phrases that came with it. The second time through was about twice as good as the first time through, but I still complimented the first time through. It bookended every single phrase. You had energy at the beginning, you had energy at the end. The energy at the end helped you energize your breath, so you had more than enough energy at the beginning of every, following phrase. So not only was the planning in place, but just, man, everything was just boom, 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 exactly as you wanted it. If that song changes at all after that, it might be worth hitting. But honestly, the way that you just sang it, copy, paste, file, save.
All right, yeah. Let's do another song then. It's pretty much the same. Back then, I didn't have as much musical talent as
that was
I
great.
do now.
Wait, there's a small internet hiccup.
Oh.
Rewind whatever you said.
Oh, yeah. I was saying, well, then let's just do another song because it's pretty much the same. Back then, I didn't have as much musical talent as I do now.
Wow. Now that you bring that up, I'm like, I just like flash back to like 3 students that I had this week. I'm like, damn, I've been teaching them suckers for like 5 years. And yeah, you can tell like the first original song versus like the 5th original song. When high school kids write music, they're like, this has 3 chords in it and the melody line's got 5 notes. And then like 2 years later, after they write like 3 or 4 more songs, they're like, this song's got 4 movements. I sing in 3 different vocal registers. And you're like, damn, okay.
That's intense, man. This one I wrote in college with my buddy Tristan. It's called Inside of Me. Yeah. Turn it up a little bit.
So, question before we get into this too much.
Yeah,
What got you into
yeah.
rock and roll, man? Like, what
I don't know.
made you pick your primary genre?
I just like it. I jive to it. I don't know.
Right
But
on.
I play all kinds of shit, dude, to be honest. Like, and that's part of my problem is if you look at my, like, YouTube, it's like, I've got pop, I've got rap, I've got rock, I've got country. It's like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Oh no, I lost you again. Are you
Yeah,
still
that
there?
I'm not going to say that complicates anything, but yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Oh,
There we
yeah.
go.
Man, it's a really convenient 5-second natural delay in between the actual signal hiccups. Because like
Yeah.
I had you the whole time, but then I noticed the audio cut out on your end. Great. Yeah, I was just kind of curious about that because like by all means, like I basically grew up. My first genre of music that I loved was like alternative rock, and then all of a sudden, like I hit like 12, and then it stopped cold for ska punk, and
Oh yeah?
basically ska punk lives in my blood somewhere all the time. Yeah, oh yeah, dude. Like trumpets and fucking skanking.
That's
That's
good.
my life. Oh yeah, that's me.
I like ska.
Um, I don't. Oh, if there was just 3 ska touring bands at any given moment in the country, I would be so fine and happy. But like, that doesn't happen. That's like a once every 4 years thing now. Um, but I don't. I don't even know how like my musical evolution took place. I'm just always curious about that. Sweet. And the other reason why I asked that stuff is because my first concert was power metal. I was 14. I was definitely like the youngest person at this concert by like a decade. Uh, it's a band called Iced Earth, and
Huh.
amazing guitar work. They've gone through like 16 singers in their lives, which is actually one of the reasons why I started looking into speech science, because I was like, why would a rock band need 16 singers over a 10-year career? I thought it was just because like everybody that wasn't the singer in the band was like a huge a-hole or something, and like very difficult to get along with.
Oh
No,
yeah.
it's because nobody knew how to scream properly, and they were like one of the first bands that really mixed.
Did that.
Like,
And they
yeah,
ruined
they
their
were.
voices.
Yep, yep. Well, the kicker is if they were like exclusively screaming, they probably wouldn't have done that. But they kept going through like power metal operatic stuff, and they'd go from like high intensity operatic voice presentation immediately into like rah, 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 rah. And like that's not an easy transition to make for
Yeah,
any
for sure.
like perfectly trained individual, and you're taking some like guy that probably has done nothing professionally his entire life and just throwing him into a nationally touring like metal band and just being like, yeah man, fuck your shit up, you only got like a lifespan of 7.5 months in this band anyway. Yeah, and knowing that fact is what made me be like, oh, voice science, maybe there is a life in that. Because metal music and people are being weird about it. All right, so this Inside of You song, give me a breakdown about it so I kind of feel its gist and emotional evolution here.
Um, it's kind of about how the world isn't what it should be, and the person in the song dreams for the world to be more than it is, and he needs to find the strength inside of himself to be able to affect change outwards, not only change within, but also, outwards. Does that make sense?
It does, because I wake up every morning and go to my part-time job with a little bit of an issue with expectation versus reality. And that seems to be what the main focus is big time. Like, you can see that something's potential in something, but it's just like never going to happen unless you're the one to like rip the bottom brick out and rebuild it from the ground up. And that's my issue with my day job, is I'm like 17 places away from the part of the totem pole that's legally allowed to start making those decisions. So I just get to sit and watch the world burn. That's why I concentrate on voice, and I just go to work and I'm like, yeah, I'll take your money, X amount of dollars an hour to sit here and play video games. Fuck this place. All right, whenever you are ready, let's take it away. So there's going to be, I'm assuming, a lot of like contradictory like emotions. It's not just going to be like a linear buildup. It's going to be like expectation, fuck reality, expectation, or is it kind of like a linear progress from explaining the situation to making a new reality?
I would just say listen to it, bro, and come up with your own conclusion.
Oh, good answer. All right, whenever you are ready.
Yeah. In my head, I can see hypocrisy in all the faces. But this life bestowed on me won't be wasted in such better places. And I know I can find what I came to this world to look for. Happiness, peace of mind, always seem to be through the next door. Oh, I know, people try to hold you back. You don't know, the strength is inside of you. Right.
Nice.
So that's
There's so many like little tiny sections in those phrases. Like each individual phrase is unique. It's not like something that's hyper repetitive. I really enjoyed that. That was also incredibly dynamic for like, what was that, 90 seconds into a song? Yeah, you got a lot of movement going on in that little tiny section of music. Cool. Start off with a compliment. Beautiful phrase stability, my friend. That airflow work and abdominal support shit's going a really long way. Something that I constantly am listening for is like a reintroduction of the gravelly into your tone, which is, just an indicator of either fatigue, potential instability, or, some type of airflow issue that we always used to focus in on.
Or it's on purpose.
Or it's on purpose, yes, but you can clearly tell when it's on purpose whenever everything else is nice and stable. And that's something that I wanted to point out too, because the low stuff that you dragged into this song was stable, justified, made total sense, and it was because of the phrase stability up on top. It makes those these deviations from the default sound of the song much more emphatic to what you're trying to highlight, especially that da-na-na-na-na-na. Whenever you ended that phrase with that the first time, there was no indicator that you were going to do that. So when it hit harder, and it did a damn good job. The phrase through the next tour, I want to revisit that area from there until the end of the thing, of the song. People try to hold you back. That was another different type of section that I just wanted to revisit in and of itself as well, because of a few just unique qualities of that musical phrase that I just wanted to hear again to make sense. Would you mind singing that that whole section one more time, just for me? I really didn't have too much to isolate other than stuff that involved volume, which is why I want to hit the through the next tour and the people try to hold you back sections. Lots of that stuff involves short phrases, but big, tall bursts of volume to initiate the next phrase. And that type of prep work is what I'm trying to zero in on. Let me think if there's anything else real fast. Nope. Let's just take it away and see if I can find anything else.
I'm going to rewind a little for you than that. That way,
sure.
Because I know where to
Well, you have a fancy backing track I didn't even notice. Audio routing.
Yeah, I'll teach you how to do it later. And I know I can find what I came to this world to look for. Happiness, peace of mind, always seem to be through the next door. Oh, I know, oh, I know. People try to hold you back. You don't know, you don't know. The strength is inside of you.
Nice. So, what I discovered is the first time through had some old habit breathing. That's it. Just the second iteration. Yeah, the second iteration, whatever it did, tightened up the ship. The people try to hold you back part. Everything that I heard the first time was gone the second time. Through the next tour, did the same thing. It was a little bit loose in the first time through. This time, completely rigid. You used all the bounce back energy from the ending of that phrase to move into the people try to hold you back section, like super freaking great. It's definitely something to do with the breathing. If you listen to the recording, it seemed like there was just auxiliary muscle tension. You're still breathing the same amount, but if you listen to the recording, the first versus the second, you can audibly hear stress and strain from breathing in the first one, massively reduced in the second one. So I'm going to credit that extra control and stability for the breathing to eliminate all your issues. Yeah, sweet. I'd like to say I could throw more things into this song, so unless there's, again, a deviation or a change, we can go and hit that. But everything that we sang up until this point is nice and stable.
Yeah, so there is one deviation. So I'm going to sing the second chorus into the kind of like bridge verse into the last chorus. Okay?
Second chorus, bridge chorus.
Yeah.
My pen is ready.
So... Right. Oh, I know, oh, I know. People try to hold you back. You don't know, you don't know. The strength is inside of you.
Could you do me a favor? The how I know seems to, or is it oh I know? The very first phrase. Oh, I know. Okay. So my suggestion for that would be to make it more of a glottal onset. The ramp up to it. The reason why I'm only cautioning you to this is it starts in a lowish range where you have your gravel quality. Bringing that together is creating an interesting little instability during just the O thing. So, oh, I know. Yeah, that's it. So if we could just be like, hammer on the nail a little bit more than like an attempt at it. All right, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it again. I don't know where I am.
Me neither, bro.
Oh, yeah, okay, it's past this. I think it's right here. Right. Oh, I know that people try to hold you back. You don't know, you don't know. The strength is inside of you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really does that.
I'm gonna keep going, because there's a reason why. In my hand, I can see hypocrisy in all the faces of this life bestowed on me. Won't be wasted in such better places.
Nice.
And I know I can find what I came to this world to look for. Happiness. peace of mind. Always seem to be through the next door. Oh, I know, that people try to hold you back. You don't know, the strength is inside of you. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that did a lot more than I was expecting. The "Oh I Know" part, dude. Just to go back to the original objective. Shit, yeah. Tightening up the ship on the bookends of each one of those phrases gave you so much more control over not only the volume but the quality. And whenever you ended that section with the low gravelly thing, it just was like sledgehammer out of left field right in the side of my face. That also did a damn good job at prepping and setting up for that quieter section to follow right afterwards. That's really what highlighted it to me, at least, the original objective. So the hot air thing, I was fascinated by that. I was not expecting it. I thought it was really, really well executed. The articulation was there.
What do you mean by the hot air? What part?
It's not super hot air. Think of it just...
Oh, you mean the quiet part where I just kind of like... Yeah. There's actually a super dope harmony at that part that I wish I had like two of me so I could show you.
That's where that vocal processor comes in. You just slam that button at one, section for 4 phrases. Yeah, dude, I could definitely hear a lot of intensity in that section. And that's actually the only thing that I would suggest kind of drawing your focus inward to just a little bit extra. So I know I use this analogy a lot, but like when a parent yells at a kid without actually yelling,
yeah,
you have like all that intense emotion and feeling, and you're like, oh my God, why is she so quiet? But it's terrifying. But that's the type of focus and emotion that you should just shove into that section. That's my only critique for it, because everything else was ship-shape, oddly enough. Until we get to the loud part. So the loud part at the very end is where most of my things are. And it's because there's either broken up phrases that I'm unsure of as far as like an audience member. I didn't know if that was like how the phrase was supposed to be with a breath emphasis, or if you were just running out of breath and just needed to sneak that in there. It happened over like 2 or 3 different phrases. The one that I managed to write down is to look for. You breathe between look and
look for. No, yeah, so it's supposed to be to look for.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay. Yeah, that happened maybe once or twice, so I didn't know if like there was like a reason for emphasizing the last word or two in a phrase. But that again is like really the only critique in that section. You did a very good job at transitioning from the quiet to the loud. It was by and large stable. Your sound was exactly what I would expect that you wanted it, because I couldn't pick anything out that was blatantly not feeling like it was supposed to be there, with the exception of those breaths. So, dude, just kudos to the end of this song. Like, there's fireworks all over it. You can definitely tell that you're putting pedal to the metal in the last little bit. And the low part right before it, the quiet part, damn, does that justify the transition. It's really cool to listen to that. Kudos. I really like this song. Let's, if you wouldn't mind, can we revisit the quiet part into the loud part?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sure. Let me find it.
The second chorus bridge chorus part is Dag.
Yeah. Okay. It's right here, I think. In my head, I can see hypocrisy in all the faces that this life bestowed on me. Won't be wasted in such better places. And I know I can find what I came to this world to look for. Happiness, peace of mind, always seem to be through the next door. Oh, I know, oh, I know. People try to hold you back. You don't know, you don't know. The strength is inside of you.
Nice. All right. As I am dying. The only critique that I have from that whole thing, because oddly enough, just making sure that breath stuff was on par, made everything else tighten up. The only one is all the face, which is all the faces.
All the faces, yeah.
Yeah. All the faces. There were two phrases in the quiet section that were like really brilliant until the very last not consonant, syllable. Find the right word. There you go. Until the very last syllable. So all the faces. I know that that's not the end of the phrase. It goes all the faces. Da, 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 and then that's like the halfway point of the phrase. Either way, moral of the story. The very last resolved note in that phrase was like da 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 da. I'm not gonna sing your melody appropriately, so forgive me. Ba 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 ba. So the very last note was like half the volume and threw away. It didn't complete the word, is what I'm getting at.
I kind of did that on purpose, but I guess it didn't come out the way that I thought it would.
Okay. So knowing that is helpful for me. And the only way that I can say to really critique that, the volume change is not my critique. My critique is just the fact that the last bit of the word wasn't attached to the word before the volume got to the I can't hear the last part of the word part. So just be sure that last letter finds its way to the end of the words, and then I think you'll be fine. Really fucking great work on the big part. So I know that I talked about that being my main focus and then immediately went to the quiet part, but there was a reason for that, and that's because that extra abdominal focus and energy that you definitely built from the quiet part, that extra intensity talk really went a long way, it seemed, because it took all the loose ends of the big part and just put it right into your wheelhouse. It was stable. You could definitely hear this on the recording. What else did I write? The to look for and all of those end song breathing parts ironed themselves out a lot better. There was still like one snuck in there, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like you didn't take a full lung of air for one word, which is what happened on the last sing through. Because I was like, that wasn't necessary. You could have been like, and then been fine, and then breathed at the planned breathing section right after that word. But that's really it. So I'd have to say that this song is pretty much good at this point, as far as things that I can easily identify and throw under the bus. So intensity and just crispness towards the end really will help to keep that efficiency up. And I gotta say that of all the songs I've heard you sing so far, I think this one might be my absolute favorite, simply because of all of the transitions that take place in it. And the level of focus that you're paying towards those transitional areas of the song. When you go from loud to quiet, it's crisp and abrupt, and it's justified. It doesn't feel like you're just like making a decision in your head and then hoping that this follows suit. It feels like you have all the intent in the world behind it, and that's really all that an audience can ask for. The exact bit is also true from the quiet to the loud at the end, which is generally the more difficult thing to do, is to do anything loud after a soft or before a soft. That dynamic jump is difficult. So the fact that it is as stable as it is just fucking super cool to listen to and watch, because it eliminates most of my excuses to critique just about anything. So I like that. Great work, man. All right, so we still got some time. Let's keep on moving. What do you want to talk about or do next? Because I also, do you have that song recorded, like in official capacity?
Well, so here's the cool thing. Over the last month, I redid all my branding. I don't know if you noticed. I redid my website, redid everything. I re-recorded all of those things, including that song. I'm renting a bass guitar in a week, and I'm going to be dropping a song every 2 weeks with a $250 budget behind it, pushing it. And that's going to be one of the songs I'm going to drop. So, yeah.
Nice. I think that would be phenomenal. Because, I mean, just simply because of the evolution of the song, I think it shows off your talents as not only a songwriter, but also as a Billy Joel aspect of individual who can not only write songs, but also perform the stuff that he writes in the capacity that he decided to write it. And I really do think that this song is dynamic enough and provides enough musical opportunity that you, as the phenomenal instrumentalist that I know that you are, man, you're gonna like this. It just sounds like a fucking solid ass canvas to work with, and I think you're gonna have a darn good time with it. I'm looking forward to the end product, that's for sure. Bonus points if you can somehow finagle a bass line in there like that other song that you sent, because
oh shit, dude, I cannot play bass that well. I'm just gonna be straight up, like, I can play guitar really well, but when it comes to bass, bro, not like that.
It's a completely different technique. I mean, I get a kick out of it whenever my one band that I work with, the Magic Beans, their bass player is like probably one of the top bass players I've ever seen, just because of how much work he's not like Victor Wooten good, but he at least like knows how to experiment with music the same way that Victor Wooten seems to. So he always like brings out very articulate, very technical things, but then he'll do like the world's most disgusting, you know, slap, you know, triple run, whatever the hell they're called, like weird ass methods around these beautifully articulated, you know, are sophisticated arpeggiated phrases or some shit like that. And I'm just like, well, it looks like you're doing a classical guitar thing with your left hand, but it looks like you're just beating up a small child with your right hand. And the music that it creates is like the most phenomenal thing. You watch him do something like that, and then the lead guitarist comes over. He's like, let me give that a shot. He gets like 2 notes into it. It's like, I fucking suck at bass guitar.
Yeah,
he can play like classical, but he can't do bass.
Like, I can slap and play some bass, but it's like, there's a difference between being able to like play and knowing your instrument, you know what I mean? There's like a huge difference between the two. And so like, yeah, I can slap out a bass line that sounds pretty good, but I ain't gonna fucking make something super hella creative like the song I sent you. You know,
yeah, your eyeballs aren't gonna pop out of your head about it. I feel like that statement that you said is something that needs to be shoved into the face of every musician ever. It's like, just because you do something adequately does not mean that you are acutely aware of how, like, the maximum potential of your instrument or creative endeavor will really be, you know? Yeah. And I really do appreciate that mindset, because I can't tell you how many times I've had students, like, people that I would expect straight up to work with for like 4 years, you know, be like, this person has a good drive and has like a good head on their shoulders and like gives a shit about being a good singer instead of just somebody who's good enough. And then they're all just like, hey, I'm pitch accurate now. All right, I can sing, bye. And I'm like, you still sound like a fucking robot. You're not having emotion. Like, just because you can match a pitch doesn't mean that you are great. Like, if I tune up my guitar and pluck an in-tune guitar string, does that mean I can play the guitar? Fuck to the no, it does. Like, it just means that I somehow have a device that tells me I can make the string make the sound that it's supposed to. It doesn't mean that I can use it like an artist.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy, dude, is I realized kind of when I was in university, I kind of started to realize, but more recently I realized, bro, that I'm never gonna be like a top-notch guitarist. There will always be people that are better than me at guitar, and that's just the way it is. Like, I'm fucking good. I'm better than most people, but I'm like, there's a huge skill gap though between me and like the masters, and I know it's there. But that's okay, because I'm going to be a vocalist.
And that's pretty much exactly, you know, how I feel about things. You know, I can't tell you how many times people are like, how come you don't sing anymore? How come you don't do this, and their other? And I'm like, because singing and performing, if you know what is involved in it, like, I wouldn't be able to teach. You kidding me? I'd lose all the hours in my week that I already don't have. And I'd be spending an awful lot of it not making money or not making progress in ways that are just more spiritually in tune with what my current endeavors are. I don't plan on never singing in a performance again. I just plan on, you know, establishing this aspect of myself before I get back into it. And it's really just because of that same aspect. Like in the barbershop world, guarantee you, I'll fucking tell you straight up, I'm like probably top 4% of the singers in that entire, society. Like, as far as
but still the skill gap between you and the top dog is probably pretty big, huh?
I mean, exactly. It's all the opposite things that I didn't spend my hours of my life doing,
right. Exactly. That's it. And it's like,
I was dumb enough to play sports growing up. Did I play sports to try to be a professional? No, I played sports to entertain my dumb ADD riddled ass and to like be busy as a kid. Did it yield anything? Sure. I'm sure it made me better at socializing. Sure, it made me better at being coordinated and not an a-hole. But like, what it didn't do is let me be good at where I ended up. If I spent that like 16-year time period of my life studying music theory and instrumentation and like stuff like that, then yeah, I might be one of those crazy individuals with learned perfect pitch and like a range that's a half an octave bigger than my range is currently, which is already a pretty big range, but like it could be more impressive. It's that little extra bit that sets you apart from an A+ student to like one of those valedictorians that graduates high school with like a GPA of over 100% that doesn't even make sense that it's possible.
Right, yeah.
But like, those are the people that, those are the Victor Wootens out there that get paid basically to live and breathe and stand near their instrument, and there's a reason for that. Now, that's not to say that I can't figure out my own wily way to get in their same ballpark. In fact, shit, dude, I like to use skateboarding as an analogy for this, oddly enough, because I feel like there are 1,001 skateboarders on planet Earth that are better than any pro that has a name on a t-shirt that you'll never know about, because they're just like hobbyist people that go to like their local community skate parks, tear it up into like a beyond X Games competitive level, and then they just go back home and do whatever else they do. And I feel like that is the aspect in so many different ways. So really, how accurate is our assumption with like the amount of population that is like super amazing? Like, no, those are just the people that decided to market themselves really well and get picked up by some production company. But it's all about, and as a marketer, it's all about how you package what you can provide. It's not necessarily about like the actual content provided. Yeah. So, but that's we can have that conversation every day of the week because we've already had. And that's really just, I think, my observation, and that's what's stopping me is like, I really want to sing, and like, I don't want to sing barbershop. It's just what made me fucking accurate. It made me, it's where my experience is. I don't ever want to go back to that world. I want to sing stuff that is related to that. So like hyper accurate, hyper clear singing. That's why I really like ska music, because honestly, ska music's just like, it's not pop punk. It's not like blah, 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 blah. It's like if you sang in high school choir but sang an intense song. That's why I like it. It's a very clean, clear type of singing. Anything that I can find related to that, like jam band music singing, like I don't have to be fucking like something special. I just need to be accurate. If I'm accurate and singing a jam band, I'm already standing on top of Mount Everest that is sitting on top of all of the other jam band singers out there. Those guys can't sing a note at all if you wanted them to, unless they've worked with me because I've trained them to do that. But that's like, like they just.
That's crazy.
Oh, dude. If you are ever curious, I'll get you a list of like. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I was gonna say not top tier jam bands. Basically, if you're not Dave Matthews, I don't like his band or his music all that much, but I will admit that homie can sing, and I'll tell you why. Half the reason why I'm trying to do what I do is because Dave Matthews Band hired me exclusively to follow him around on tour and tell him voice stuff. And like, if I could make $200,000 a year to follow some jackass around and be like, fuck yeah, you sounded great tonight, versus fuck no, you sounded like ass tonight, and that's how I get my paycheck, please. Like, yes, I'll do that tomorrow. That sounds awesome. But yeah, like Dave Matthews is basically one of like the only real good top tier level jam band singers. Like if you listen to Fish, Fish is accurate, but Fish isn't great. Grateful Dead is the world's best worst example of jam band singing because like they're not off key, but they definitely aren't anywhere near as accurate as they could and or should be for the musical instrumentation behind it.
You know, I've kind of noticed that about a lot of older artists and older recordings. Like, man, dude, some of these old artists, dude, they sound like shit. I'm just like, what? I don't get it. Like Jimi Hendrix, I'm sorry. He's a great guitarist, but he fucked up so much and his singing sucks. It's really not that good.
It's speaking. Especially when you, what is it? Hey, Joe! Wanna take that blood in your hand? Like, he's putting vibrato in there, but it's not natural vibrato. It's fake injected vibrato.
Well, that's what I do.
Know how to sing. Well, yeah, but like you have a legitimate reason behind that, which is physical injury dictated that the natural production of that is like very restricted in the certain parts of your range. So you do have to compensate for it. Jimi Hendrix, on the other hand, has zero excuse, 100% if he learned how to sing and be able to have that natural vibrato. But again, that's part of how he packaged his deal. Like, of course he couldn't sing. His guitar playing is what makes him shit on people's faces. But like the singing is somehow an acceptable addition to that guitar playing. It almost makes sense in a contradictory way because of how offset his guitar playing is versus his voice. But because of his ability to at least be pitch accurate, and this is something that I'll credit him to because he's probably a little bit more of a sticklery musician than a lot of folks, at least internally. His singing is always, hey, Joe! Like, hey, Joe is not complex, but it's very pitch accurate. You know, there's nothing special going on about it. There's no bells and whistles. But he's not like he's going, hey, Joe, ba-da-ba, ba-da-hand. You know, he's not just like super phoning it in. He is hitting pitches specifically. And that's something that I wish that jam band individuals would at least make a small attempt to do. And like, cause it's funny, like they're so used to not paying attention to like that shit that whenever I walk up and the first thing I say is, yeah, you were trying to sing in this one section, like your guitar was like in this key and like your voice was like fucking nowhere near that. Then they're just like, oh yeah, it's all right. I'm like, no, it was like a 2-minute dissonant section.
It was atrocious, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta fix that.
Dissonance is not supposed to be in a harmonic section unless you are building tension, and there is no need to build 2 minutes of tension unless you're having sex. So like, don't do that. I can't survive that. You're twisting the knife and pouring salt in the wound at the same time. I don't need that. That's no. Like, if there's, man, I tell you what, I'm wired in music in such a weird way that like I feel like I'm wired to not enjoy music. Because like when that dissonant stuff that lasts longer than like 7 seconds, I'm like physically incapable of standing in that room. I like literally need to be like, no. My spinal cord's trying to rip itself out of my body. I need to like get out of here until this resolves itself. It's like if somebody walks in and plays Shave and a Haircut 2 and then walks away before they finish it.
Oh yeah, dude. I used to walk into music classes and I'd be like, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and then just walk out. And people are like, so fucking mad, dude.
Yup. And it's the same thing with just like musical notation. If you have like a suspension that's like desperately waiting for a resolve that never happens, I might strongly consider punching someone in the face over that. Like, it's just something I can't handle. It's like, and it's mostly because barbershop does that 1,001 different times. However, in the barbershop world, there's like an unwritten rule that if you have like awkward, pukey tension and stuff like that, it's like it has to resolve in the world's most alleviating way. So you at least know there's going to be some type of comforting payoff.
There's going to be some type of dominant or tonic at the end of it.
Yes, and it's going to be warm and big, and like everyone's going to milk it because that's what you do after a nice off-putting dissonance section. But like
that rule does not apply to every musical genre, and for that I can't wrap my head around because I'm dumb. Yeah, I'm just like, oh, gross, it's gross. Nah. Like, if a song is written in minor key, there's like a 30% chance I already don't trust it. And I don't really know why. I just like I think it has to do with like the psychology of music and like how you interpret tonality and like, you know, stuff like that. I guess I have like a genetic predisposition to happy music. I don't like sad, somber sounding things. It just like, eh. Unless it's, honestly, I'm going to say this is going to sound like completely contradictory. Unless it's a classical song. Like, unless it's like an orchestrated shit from like 1700s. Like,
yeah, but that shit had so many rules, bro.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
God. Yeah.
It's like almost worse than Parmesan.
Counterpoint, bro. Counterpoint sucks.
I like, yeah. And, I mean, admittedly, what my brain is currently drawing from is probably one of the more modern classical interpretations of anything, which is Gustav Holst's, his Planet Suite. If you listen to the Mars song, you'll hear it. And the funniest part about the song Mars from that orchestrated suite is almost everybody and their brother will recognize it. It's been in every video game. It's been in movies. It's been in like thousands of other things. It starts off with all the stringed instruments bouncing their bows on their instruments going and then it just gets like really slowly, disappointingly marchy. So the whole time it feels like a depressed group of people marching along with like hate and disdain in their eyes. That's what the entire song sounds like. And then you listen to Jupiter, the bringer of jollity, and immediately it just makes you want to like rip all your clothes off and sprint through a field full of wildflowers. It's like so fucking happy and all jovial. Yeah, I mean, that's actually, fuck it, I'm just gonna link it to you. I don't care. I'm on the internet anyway, and I have that magical ability. Yeah, so let's not digress too much more. Let's talk about the articulation focus before I start to have to run, because I have to drive 4 hours north in like an hour.
Oh my god, that makes sense.
Well, so let me break it down for you here. The event that I'm working it's a sanctioned music festival. So it got approved by the state government. How? I wish I could tell you, but that's half the reason I'm going. Because I want to see how an approved event operates. And I don't really think that there's any other events like it that have been approved in the entire state of Pennsylvania up until this point. So I'm going and I'm working merch, and I'm going to be socially distant as fuck. I have like all of my masks good to go and all that shit. But I'm literally going just to like observe, because if this is the new norm for the next year and a half, which is what it's sounding like in America, like the music venues that I spent the last 3 years trying to get a job in, they're not going to open up to music until late spring 2021. So that means that I'm going to, like, all of my new music industry friends from Pittsburgh have been out of work for ever, and they're gonna.
That's shitty, man.
Yeah, I mean the real shitty thing is there is no opportunity to compensate for this change. Like, everybody says, well, work online. Well, let me tell you what doesn't happen when you work online. There's no door split. You know, there's no guarantee. You can't.
Okay. Door split. And I disagree with you on both of those fronts, bro, because if you're selling tickets to a private online show, there is a door split, because technically, like, yeah, you know, like, whoever's doing, like, the mixing can split the door with the fucking band or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is that, but the issue with the private thing is it's just, like, you have to make the sale of a lump sum. At least that's what I'm noticing. There are some ticketed events, but from all the feedback that I've gotten from like my third level tier jam band / higher, is the private events are the only guaranteed thing, because you can guarantee yourself at least, like, you know, if a band tours and they average $2,000 for a 3-hour set, that's basically that's how much they're charging for, you know, an 1.5 hour private show online. So like,
at that point, if you're in your home studio, your band lives together, and you have a private show, boom, that's money in the bank immediately. You can do like 4 of those in a day and make more money than you would in a 2-month time period, which oddly enough, I was actually a part of at one point. My band charged me 20%, and I paid $500. So I was like, damn, I can only imagine everybody else. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. But like but then, you know, in contrast, you have when they play for like a online music festival or something like that, each one of their streams is at a reduced price because it's a stream. It's not like a live concert, so they're not going to charge like $10 to view this band.
Yeah, it's going to be like $2. But
yeah, and then they see like only 50 people, so they only get $100 from that versus the
2,000. Wait, though. Like, there is a hidden element to this that you and the bands might not be thinking of that you might want to talk to them about, and it's called sponsors, bro. If you can get like some music gear sponsors, like say like Gibson guitars or something, to sponsor the stream, then like they're already gonna pay like $5 or $10K right off the bat just to put their fucking logo on your shit, and that's it. And for you to spend 2 minutes saying, this broadcast is sponsored by Gibson Guitars. Blah, 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 blah.
That is a good idea. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't done that. The only thing I've seen so far is, like, brought to you by whatever production company is in charge of normally booking these bands. That's all that I'm seeing. But at the same time, like, the production company is, like, the last person that needs to be fucking known in my mind. Like, trust me, the music people and the people that listen to music already know who's, you know, booking your bands and shit like that. You don't need to put your name on it. Go find somebody else to give you more money to slap their name on it. And I completely agree with there.
They just need to fucking send out a bunch of emails to people and be like, look, we've got this audience, we range about this type of viewership to each one of our whatevers, and we want a fucking sponsorship to them. And they just need to pitch not only local people, like local businesses, but also, and local's hard right now because of COVID, but like, but they just need to fucking send a bunch of emails and fucking LinkedIn bitches, and then get some sponsorships, you know?
That's wild to me that honestly, like, and the band that I'm talking about too is, I'm not going to call them the biggest band, or rather, but they are sponsored by one of the largest production companies that I have a hand in. And these people are like doing national events constantly. Even during this, they're doing socially distant things. The newest venture that they just came up with, man, I tell you what, with all the political things going on, it makes me really want to be like, yo guys, you might want to like check your privilege here while the political climate's super fucked up. But at the same time, I get it because they're a business that can't close because they're the music industry and they're not getting any help from the government. So like, but it's called Dine from Out There, and like, of all the demographics of people that I've met in the music industry, I've met like 3 different types of people. I've met musicians, professional chefs, and the people that throw the shows. That's really it. The professional chefs thing is the context-free thing that I don't understand, but I will never complain about it because they always bring food and they're always really good. So this Dine from Out There thing is basically a collaboration of all of the celebrity chefs that I've met over the past 2 years with the production company, and they basically throw private parties with catered pairing events with food and drink and a band. So if a bluegrass band's playing, they'll play like, or they'll have like a southern or western themed food dish design, you know, over the evening. But at the same time, each ticket to that motherfucker's like $120 per seat. That's like fundraiser prices, and that's what they're trying to do to make like going to see live music a possibility. Do you have any idea how top 1% that sounds? That's not accessible. Like,
no, it's not.
Yeah, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd probably be able to get in, but the only reason I'd be able to get in is because I go and hang out with like one of the 5 celebrity chefs that are making the food, and I probably know the band playing the music. So like, that's my way in. It is not buying a ticket. You kidding me? I couldn't afford it. They wouldn't want me there. I don't own enough fancy clothes to sit at tables with anybody else. Like, it's just such a silly thing. And like, I just, that's the type of stuff that I'm starting to see, like the music industry gravitate to, instead of like the much more accessible and like standard everyday person friendly thing. And I just kind of wish that there was an option available now for people that, you know, for bands that aren't at the tier that I'm even talking about. So like we were talking about the private parties versus the ticketed events. And like my friends that are in the local bands, like they'll sell out local shows when they play like once a month, once every month and a half or something like that. But you can't tell me that if they throw a ticketed event online that they can, like the most viewing I've seen on an online local show has been like 15 people. And like,
yeah, but there's a lot of questions that go into that. You can't just be like, yeah, this is the most and they did their best, because like you don't know how they do their
but
marketing.
like I'm just saying with like the right.
Yeah.
Like I mean, admittedly too, their market is just the local music scene. It's trying to like, it's, you know, they're only bothering the people from Pittsburgh. They're only bothering the people that are in the forums of the venues that they normally play at and stuff like that. It's not like they're not like going on a whole marketing endeavor where they're just like trying to grab anybody interested in music on the internet. They're just like the 250 people that normally sell out the venues, you know, if you have time, tune in. But at the same time, marketing to a point, marketing in a practical way for a local band that has a no budget, and that's basically the assumption for anybody that's not a nationally touring act, is they have a no budget. Like how in the world are they going to really, in the time of COVID, in the short period of time that COVID has allotted, like how are they really going to be able to expand their thing or their presence to a degree that's going to make a financial impact? Like shit, you know,
just content, bro. Just fucking massive amounts of content, and then throwing every fucking penny and dollar at like ads. And then if you're really worried about money, then make sure that all your ads are attached to some type of monetary value, like an album or a fucking t-shirt or something. Only spend money on ads, you know? But, I mean, outside of that, like, not much. Like, I don't know. Talk to me in, like, 3 or 4 months about it after I've grown from posting all these songs and throwing up ads, and I'll have a better, I'll have something better to say. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been... the one thing I will say that COVID has thrown me a loop for, before I go, is, man, like, I just spent the last 3 years building this business, doing... I mean, and I'm not scared. I didn't even... from a studious point of view. Just, like, the methodology that I employed from starting my business to now, thanks to the last 4-ish months, like, has upended everything. Like, the last 2.5 years I've spent networking with, you know, the national music scene. I basically haven't talked to any of those people, and I've been reaching out. It's like I need to physically be there to be recognized as alive, or at least near any of those people to have conversations with them. Admittedly, they're probably busy trying to figure out their own COVID response too. But, you know, I built all these bridges, and now it's just like, man, none of these things are feeding back.
It's time to flip, bro. Like, if you built all these bridges in person, that's great. Time to build some bridges online, man.
Yeah.
Change your strategy, bro.
I feel like I'm about at that point, and the cool part is now that I have like most of my content stuff organized. I just need to write it. So no, that's my deal. I think
just
take my laptop with me to this music fest. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm gonna get an extension cord at my merch table, and I'm gonna fucking sit there and just write advertisements and probably budget like $500 worth of Facebook ads and see what's up.
Before you launch your ads, bro, like hook up with me a little bit, because like it's really easy to lose money on Facebook ads if you don't do it right. You know? Fuck. Oh no, I lost you. What the fuck?